See my face.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in to today's launch of Plan Z. It's a great privilege to be here, one, and it is a very great honor for me as well to be here handling today's session. My name is Latif Sani. and I'm going to be your host for today. Your pilot, if you may. I'll be driving you through. Not to worry, there will be no sky bombs and there will be no emergency landing. It's good to have everyone here. I can see that our chairman of the day has also joined very early on, as well as one of our guest speakers all the way from Eastern Nigeria. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining to time. Welcome us all to this wonderful launch of this pleasant book. I'm sure for those who must have pre-read this, you would agree with me that it is indeed one that's necessary for building the very, very basics, the very, very foundation of success in life. Without further ado, we're going straight to commencing this session as we are very, very keen on time management. We want to ensure
I
all
facilitators.
We also want to implore our facilitators and speakers to work in tandem with us to ensure that we are able to effectively manage our time for today. So we'll be going with the national anthem to kickstart the occasion, of course, the Nigerian national anthem. So I believe we would all just recite along with me, even with our mics muted. I would have loved to have a lot of mics unmuted so that we could hear. You know, back then in school, a lot of people used to be at the back just humming to the tune. But today will have been a good occasion for us to know those who always add bass to the rhythm of the national anthem. All right, after the count of three, we go. 1, 2, 3. Arise, O compatriot, Nigeria's call obey, to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with earth and might, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. This is the part where you hear the loud cheers and the loud claps of the hand. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in that. Indeed, the labors of our heroes, we hope, will not be in vain. And in 5-10 years to now to come, I'm sure somebody will remember this day and will say, oh, the labors of one of our heroes, Al-ameen, Abolare, would not go in vain. Because I can assure you that Plan Z, which is the book we are here to learn today, will definitely go places and will change lives. A quick rundown of our activities for today. We have, trust me, a diverse set of speakers from which you'll be amazed by their wealth of experience and the knowledge they will be sharing with us today. It would also be great, you'll be glad you joined in because of the quality of the content that they will be churning out. We'll be having a keynote address followed by an address by the Commissioner of Education, Lagos State. Yes, she's going to be joining us today. We also have one of our guest speakers. We have him here already, and we'll be having 2 guest speakers speak with us. Afterwards, we'll move to the main launch of the event, and then we'll have goodwill messages from various people, and then our vote of thanks. We promise we would try to be as much as possible to manage our time effectively, and that's why I implore all our facilitators, guest speakers, and launchers to also work in tandem with us to ensure that we are able to appropriately manage our time. For notes, we want to mention that we've gotten the approval of Lagos State to distribute 100 copies of Plan Z to public schools in Lagos State. If you ask me, that in itself is a great achievement for you to get to showcase what you'll be offering, because not all government will want individuals to come into their own territory and then shine, if you may take it. But of course, we've gotten the approval to share 100 copies of these in public schools in Lagos State. And trust me, any 100 lives that take this, go back and take them in a few years' time. If truly and sincerely they implement what has been written in this book, of course, everyone has to sieve and find what works for them. If you've read the book, you also mentioned parts about where you have to identify which strategy or plans work for you. Plan A will not work for person B. Plan B might not work for person C. You all need to identify all of this in this awesome book. We have our chairman of the day, who interestingly joined us very early on. I will be introducing him in a bit. We also have just want to use this opportunity to mention to everyone out there, individuals, organizations, that would appreciate if you could, in any way, if you are able to sponsor or even partner with us on these projects, because our goal is to reach out to more people than we currently have now. And by so doing, we hope that we can change lives, even if it's one life at a time. Our first speaker would be speaking shortly, but before that, before we have our first speaker come on board, before we have our first speaker come on board, I would like to very honorably thank our chairman of the day. He joined very early. Okay, yeah, so he joined us early on. I'm sure much to the astonishment of a lot of people, because we in this side of the world, we believe politicians are not one who exude the kind of character and principle that he has exuded this morning. I'm talking about the chairman of APC, Abolare, Honorable Fuad Laguda. Thank you so much for joining us here Saturday. We really appreciate your presence, and we do not take your time for granted in any way. We are really grateful, and your presence here has also given us, has rekindled our hope that yes, we can go places only if we want to. That means there is the will and there is a way, only if the person is willing to put in the effort. Thank you so much, Safwad Laguda, for joining us here today. Our first speaker would be joining us shortly. I'm trying to confirm that we have him on yet. He's our keynote speaker. Okay, I've been told that he would be joining us shortly. So that means we would, while waiting for our keynote speaker, we'll go straight to our very first guest speaker, who I said earlier has already joined us since the beginning of the session. All right, very shortly, the slide will come up. I will be reading the profile of our first guest speaker of the day. Just to mention again, also, Mr. Agungi, thank you so much for joining much early. I see that you joined as early as the stated time for the event to commence. We really appreciate and see with using the very famous WhatsApp. Mr. Ngugi is an active supporter, NGOs, and a leader in all right. Thank you so much for staying on. We sincerely apologize for that break in transmission. But it's a new reality. It's a new and normal. We just have to get out of it. I wouldn't know it's still here. Peter, could you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Thank you, so Mr. Anguga. So, Mr. Anguga, we'll be talking about how we can, through education, foster development in developing communities like ours. Thank you, Mr. Anguga. You have the floor now.
All right, thank you very much. And first of all, I have to appreciate every person who has shown up today to support this wonderful visionary who's come up with a book. I think it takes a lot of effort and courage to really do whatever he's done. But beyond that, I think I'll just jump straight to the point, given that one, time is of serious concern, but also I see internet is also being a challenge. So as introduced, my name is Ngugi Peter. I am a citizen of Kenya. I spent most of my life in India working in technology space, significantly building technologies that work in areas that have very low internet connectivity. And at some stage, I thought it would be ideal for me to come back home and try to build something similar in the education space. And so that is what Skiza does. I think I saw quite an interesting introduction there about myself. And it so happens that all the time when I'm interacting in various platforms, I see people coming with various ideas or various thoughts of what we do, which is quite interesting because it gives them an opportunity to identify it with themselves. However, in a very niche level, what we do at Skiza is we create transparent, or we enable transparent relationships between NGOs, donors, and beneficiaries, primarily focusing in the education space in last mile schools. We've been doing this for a year, and it has been quite an experience, especially learning from different landscapes. My best experience was when I visited Uganda in a classroom that has about 200 students. And looking at just basic functionalities of the classroom, where the teacher, apart from just teaching, there is other events that happen, like taking attendance, marking or grading students' academic performances, interacting with parents. And one of the things that comes out when you go into these areas is an activity as simple as taking attendance in these regions takes about 1 hour, because you have a teacher dealing with about 200 kids. And so I alongside with my co-founders, we realized that this is quite an opportunity for us to develop technologies for spaces like this. And the first thing that we did, and I'll just keep it short because I don't want to do a presentation given the internet connectivity, is develop a product that works offline. And I think this is where creativity and innovation comes through. So we developed a product that works offline, where teachers are able to do their day-to-day activities in the classroom without the need of internet connectivity. But also beyond that, so for instance, you are a teacher taking attendance on your mobile phone with about 200 students. I don't know whether you guys can hear me. Alexandra, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
All right, thank you. So yeah, so supposing you have a teacher in a classroom taking attendance for about 200 students with a smart device. Now we decided to bring a game changer because that is the kind of data that one can take a lot of memory, and two, it requires a lot of internet if you want to push it to the cloud. So we thought, what if we come up with quite interesting compression algorithms where we can compress the data and then push it to the cloud. I'll just show you a very short sneak peek of what Skiza does. And then I'll just roll it out to the next speaker because I understand today is quite a busy day. And also at the end of it, it is for the book. So I will not take much time as showing you what I do. But for a moment, if you allow me, can I share my screen? Admin, can I share my screen?
Yes, you'll be granted access in a bit.
Okay.
Yes, so you can share your screen, Mr. Ngoyi.
Okay. All right, so this is how Skiza looks like. I'll just take you straight to. Yeah, so this is what we do. Now we have a very simple and intuitive mobile apps for teachers, and we primarily currently focusing on collecting data remotely. And so what we have done is in classes where you have very many students at once, we're using facial recognition technology, where instead of calling one student at a time, the teacher can just scan the faces of the students, and automatically we're able to record the student data. So as soon as you proceed there, you can see the students that have been marked present here and the ones that are present, and you can just confirm with them. And then as soon as you save that, what happens is we reward teachers with tokens. And so this is one thing we've realized, especially working in these rural spaces, teachers are heavily overworked, and at the same time, they're underpaid. And so creating technologies that one acknowledges teachers' effort was one of our primary concern, but at the same time, one that reduces their effort. So if you go here in a very simple way, and this whole process can happen offline. So let's say as a teacher, I've been taking attendance for the past 1 month, and I've been accumulating, let's say 205 Skiza coins. So I can go there and redeem them, and I can get, let's say a phone, I can redeem it to a phone and get it for free, and they don't have to pay for it. But it's acknowledging what the efforts that teachers are doing and bringing them together. However, as I said, today is not about me, it's about the wonderful gentleman that has been writing this book. So I will just pass the baton back to you. But before I end, I want to thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I want to thank everyone who has taken a moment to listen to me. And back to you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ngugi. Just like you are providing solutions to helping schools in rural communities get more efficient. We're also trying to improvise, trying to make the best of this summer. I'm quite speaking from a different device currently. due to the very much intricacies of network issues in this part of the world. So sincerely apologize and bear with us. Thank you so much, Mr. Ngugi. And sincerely, I would have loved to engage you further on how this works, but I guess we can take that outside of this space, because it's a lot. If technology, like you mentioned, can reduce the workload of teachers, especially in developing communities where they are heavily burdened and strictly underpaid. So I think it's a lot that technology will do to help us, and what you're doing is very much appreciated, and we can only hope that you can expand your scope beyond just your local communities and to Africa and then to the world, as we look to take it one family and one life at a time. Thank you so much, Mr. Ngugi Peter, for sharing with us today what you do. We appreciate, and we all can only wish you the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, everyone. That was Mr. Ngugi Peter, our first guest speaker of the day, who has indeed shown us how he uses technology to ease the task of teachers in rural communities, where they can do a lot of tasks without even have to work in manually, like capturing attendance just through face scan. Indeed, you'd agree with me that that is something that would ease a lot of stress for teachers having to mark names. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you're just joining us, this is the launch of Plan Z, a book authored by Al-ameen, Abolare. And Plan Z is a book that helps this generation, like you want to call Generation Z, or our young ones, to actually find a way to get the basics, understand the very basics of life that helps them to build those founding blocks upon which they can then leverage to get better and succeed in life. We've had Mr. Ngugi Peter, and we've also had with us from the beginning of the session, our chairman of the day, Honorable Fuad Laguda, who has been with us here all along. Thank you so much, Honorable, for being with us. Our second guest speaker, I understand, has also joined in. He is Amit Kayode Afolabi, who will be sharing his profile shortly. Yeah, so thank you so much, Tech. Hamid is a social entrepreneur with SDGs Youth Champion and an educator with 12 years of experience in active citizenship and volunteering. Currently, he is a fellow in residence and the regional manager for Peace First, a global non-profit in the United States. He is the founder of Kayode Alabi Leadership and Career Initiative, a youth-led NGO that ensures secondary school students in underserved communities develop life skills needed for the workforce. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you one of our very own, whom we are proud of, Amit Kayode Alabi.
Yeah, hello everybody. Sorry, I need to connect my headphone first. Just give me a minute.
Can people hear me?
Loud and clear, we can hear you, Mr. Alabi.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's nice to be here, and it's nice to speak about the topic I've been asked to speak about. Yeah, and congratulations, Ali. I mean, it's not easy to write a book, and I mean, being somebody who have written 2 books, and how difficult it is to communicate your thoughts and to communicate your stories. So yeah, thanks for writing. We need more African authors. Because as Africans, we need to rewrite our narrative. We need to be the ones to tell our stories. Nobody will tell the story for us. We need to start telling our stories, and we can do that by writing books. So I look forward to like more authors, or having more authors from this call today. Yeah, and just to quickly make a little bit of correction in my profile. I'm sorry I didn't send my bio, and that's why. Yeah, I was a former regional manager at Peace First. I no longer work with Peace First, but I'm currently a board member at Peace First. So I currently work with Refugee Education UK, where I help young refugees and asylum seekers in West and East London to aspire for a better future by connecting them to mentors for educational support. So that's my current role currently in the UK, and basically also running my NGO at the same time. So I've been asked to like speak about, a very, very important topic, and, is achieving personal growth through education. And, also looking at the book, right, Plan Z, helping and preparing people from Generation Z. And, I think the first thing I would say is that when you think about education, what comes to your mind, education is beyond what we study in school. It's a combination of all other things, acquire skills, knowledge, values, in order to become not only a responsible member of a society, but to solve problems in the society. And how do we, achieve our personal growth through that? How do we learn? I was talking to a young person yesterday, and one of the things that I said to that person is that you can only do what you know. You can only create what you know. It is based on what you know that you can apply things and do things. So I could recall recently, I noticed that I was going to, programs, I was speaking, but I'm like, it seems as if I'm saying the same thing every moment and every time, and I hate it when I keep saying like, the same thing that I'm always saying in different places or different conferences. So I knew that there was a problem, and I knew I had to do something to solve that. I love knowledge. I love learning. I love challenging myself. So I did a bit of self-reflection, and I'm like, yeah, I know I've done a master's. I've had all of this knowledge through my master's degree. I've had all of this knowledge through the courses of fellowship that I've been part of, or through the day-to-day experience of my work. But there's so much more that I can do. There's so much more that I can get, I didn't know when I found myself looking out for opportunities, and I came across these opportunities for social entrepreneurs. Like they're just going to select 20 social entrepreneurs for that opportunity. And it's an opportunity by University of Pennsylvania. And this is a program that is going to be happening in Costa Rica for just 20 social entrepreneurs. But for you to apply for that opportunity, you need to take a course on social entrepreneurship and social impact strategy. So the course was for 4 weeks. I crashed the course in 1 week. I was just literally sitting down, learning and taking the course, grounding myself, because I'm like, yeah, this is me. This is who I have always been. I'm always driven by knowledge. I want to know more. I want to learn more. So don't be comfortable with your convenience. Don't be comfortable with your comfortability. Don't ever feel you have ever arrived based on what you know. There is always so much more to know. And this is my model, because at a point in your life, you will get to a position where it seems that you have achieved everything. When I got into university, like, let me just give you a bit of my background. I was born and raised in Makoko. Makoko is one of the largest floating slums in Lagos. And I, obviously, I have attended different schools, like, growing up. My dad literally picked me from the slum, sent me to a school in Alagomeji. It was an estate close to Makoko back then. And I'll go to that school, learn, we would use cubes to learn. It was a Montessori school. And from there, I changed school like about 2 to 3 times. Went to the not so good school and the good school as well in between. I attended a boarding house, for my secondary education. It was in Badagry. It was a public boarding house that I attended. And I don't want to really bore you with like details of my story. You can read about my journey if you want to read online. Basically, you can read about that. But when I got into the university, I knew where I was coming from. I knew I needed to learn more. I knew I needed to do something. And I knew I can be the best. I wasn't the best in my secondary education, but I knew I can be the best. I knew I can actually do something for myself. So what I used to do there is that I would wake up midnight to read. And I and my cousin were living together, then we'd take turns to read. And most of the time, people think I used to read for like an hour. I read for 30 minutes. Imagine reading bit by bit every single day. So I used to read for like 30 minutes. I don't carry over my notes. Once we have a note that I've written that day, I must read that note that same day, because that's how I don't forget. So I ensure that I read 30 minutes. And I could also recall that I used to do free tutorials for people. So I would do tutorials. Martin Luther King said something. He said to learn is to teach twice. And to teach is to learn twice. So when you teach, you learn twice. You've learned before, but when you teach others, you learn twice. So I could recall throughout my stay in the university, I was doing free tutorials. Many people in the tutorials would be like, "Oh, Ahmed, it seems you're helping us," but they don't know that I'm helping myself. And I was the best student throughout my 4 years at the university, and also got the best graduating students as well. But again, I've always been driven by, what is the next thing I'm going to do? What is the next knowledge I'm going to get? And that is the reason why, when I even started my own nonprofit, to help children of my kind, to ensure they have access to the opportunities that I have access to. I was driven by fellowships. I was, I would apply for fellowships. I would apply for programs. I could recall taking a course online, 16 courses online in 3 days, because I wanted to learn more. I was just crazily driven by knowledge. God knows. I don't want to be in a room where people are talking and I can't say anything and I can't share. And then you need to know, what are the ways of knowing? So the ways of knowing is beyond, the course you take. There are knowings that comes through experiences that you have to get on the field to work. So me starting an NGO, when I even had limited knowledge, was me learning by experience, learning by doing, and building along the line by taking courses and fellowships and all of those things. So they also learning that comes with intuition. Pay attention to the intuitions. Pay attention to those little spark that comes to you in the bathroom or somewhere. That's one way of knowing. They are knowing that comes through revelation. They just come through like, sometimes learning is spiritual, but you won't learn if you don't interact with that thing you want to learn about. So I was interested in the educational sector. I would go through World Bank articles on education. I would read UNESCO articles on education. I recently spoke at UNESCO. So recently I spoke at UNESCO in Paris, and before I went to speak, the people organizing my panel, they said, "Oh, Ahmed, could you send us a draft of what you would speak about?" It didn't take me 30 minutes to write my drafts. I'm like, it's there already. I know all of these things already. I'm prepared. So what you're doing when you're learning now, you're preparing yourself for the future, because when you get to the platform, you have to be ready. One of the things we need to learn to do is to start even before we are ready. To learn before you use it. To learn before you're ready. It's not until when you get to the room you start learning. Though there are some learning that you would do when you get to the room, but it's good to do that before you're ready. So during those moments that I started my NGO, that I was learning, reading all of those things, attending all of those fellowship, I was building my base of knowledge. And I was building the capacity for the future, right? So when it comes to personal growth, in fact, when I started doing the things that I did in my NGO were the things that I learned, or the things that I read about, were the courses that I took, how to start an enterprise. I did that course before I started my NGO in 2016. I started my NGO in 2017. I did that course in 2016. All of those courses that I did in 3 days, they were things that I put into practice. And then you can now start connecting the dots together. Because when you are putting it into practice, you'll be connecting, oh, this is what I learned then. Oh, this is the challenge. Then it becomes part of you. And then when they ask you, for example, if you want to apply for a scholarship, and they're asking you, and tell us about who you are. Or tell us about what you want to do. Tell us about, yourself. Tell us about your future and career aspiration. You won't just say that I want to be the next big thing, or I want to impact the world. Tell us how you want to impact the world, or tell us how you have been impacting the world, is the question. If you've read about how to impact the world, go on and impact the world. Right? Because that's experiences turns into knowledge and then it become wisdom, right? So for me, it's those connecting dots, right? Looking for like, which sector do I want to focus on? Which area do I want to work in? What knowledge do I need to thrive in those areas? And building my base knowledge based on that. And growing in that area that I'm working on and that I'm treading towards, basically. So again, I went through, did my NGO, did a fellowship with the US consulate where I got $5,000 grants. I mean, that would be the first time I got $5,000 grants with some of my colleagues. That was in 2018. It was millions of naira that we managed, right? And we did this project. I learned how to manage resources. I learned how to manage money. So you have to do the work. I have to pay attention to the process. People will not just give you leadership position in a day. People will not just say, take, this is the position for you. Even if they give you the position, you have to be able to prove that you deserve that position. And that comes with experience over time. That comes with knowledge over time. And I believe these are some of the things, I skimmed through Plan Z and I'm like, these are some of the steps, that has been written there. Like, you need to pay attention to the process. You need to pay attention to like your journey, the process. What's the process like? Where do I want to go to? So where do I want to be? I used to tell people, if you want to go somewhere, picture that place you want to be. This is where I want to go to. This is where I want to be, and work backwards. Right? It's called backward integration. This is where I want to be. This is where I want to go to, and then work backward and start doing those things. For example, if you want to get a scholarship in a particular field, let's take, for example, you're interested in educational and international development. Start taking courses in education. Start writing opinions about education. LinkedIn has an article. Like, LinkedIn allows you to publish an article. Start writing articles. So if in case they ask you for a link of how you have done this, you share the links with them. So most times people will be like, oh, I don't have anything. But life offers you that platform and opportunity to create things, but you're not taking advantage of those platforms. And you're not taking advantage of those opportunities. God knows there are numerous opportunities to create things in the world. Like, you can even create a free blog using blogger.com and start putting your words out there and saying that this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how I do it, and then telling people about what you've learned along your experiences and along your journey. And that helps me a lot. Most of the opportunities that I've gotten were the application of my knowledge, learning through those experiences and telling the stories. What are the experiences that I've derived, the impact from those experiences, basically. Please tell me if my time is up so that I know when to cut it and when to stop. So again, I remembered graduating from university in 2015, went through my NYSC, and the knowledge still continues. I remember taking a course on customer relation, even if I don't know what I'm going to use it for. I took a course in customer relation, became an associate of customer relationship management. I didn't know what I'm going to use customer relationship for. But I knew that those knowledge are instrumental to my leadership journey, to my leadership experience. Again, no knowledge is a waste. Everything you know, everything you learn is preparing you for a future that you don't understand. Because at a point in time, you will know why you're taking those courses. You will know why you're building yourself. You will know why you're studying. And it doesn't stop. It's a continuous process. You have to continue to learn and develop yourself. And when I went for my master's, God, I learned a lot. I read papers. I can't even count, more than 200 or 400 papers I read. I can't even count how many papers I've read and the knowledge that is flowing in terms of like, what are the historical pathway to development. So much more. So seek for knowledge, apply the knowledge, because it's when you apply knowledge that it becomes an experience and it becomes wisdom. We are an experience over time. You get, we are an experience over time. Like the experiences we build, it's like it continues to grow, build, and hard. And when we are in the room, when we are speaking, people listen to us because they'll be like, oh, this person knows what he's saying. He has gotten an experience. He knows his onions, right? You shouldn't be found wanting. So I've been talking about education, books as well. Read books, read people who have gone ahead of you, study them. And I mean, like I said, like this year I felt like I wasn't, like, after my master's, I'm like, it seems I've not been reading a lot. It seems that I've not been studying a lot. I had to start listening to podcasts again. Like every morning going to work, I would listen to podcasts. Like every single morning, whenever I'm going to work, I would listen to podcasts. I've gotten more books than I've bought last year, right? I've gotten more books. I've started grounding myself again, just learning more, learning about my field and sector, learning about, my work, so that, learning the current trends in my field, so that when I'm in the room, or whenever I find myself in the room and they're asking me questions, I'm able to answer. I would like to end with a story, right? I would like to end with a story. And this is a story. A young boy went to his father and he said, "Father, test me." He said, "Father, I want to test you." Yeah, that was the question. Yeah, he said, "Father, I want to test you." The father said, "Go ahead." He said, "Father, in my hand is a bird. And I want you to tell me if the bird is dead or alive." And the father said, "If I should tell you it is dead, you will release the bird and say it is alive. And if I should tell you that it's alive, you will strangle the bird until it dies. So the answer to your question is in your hand." So if you want to grow personally through education or to whatever means, it is in your hand. Thank you.
Come on, this is the part where you have to clap your hands, even if it's virtually and I can't hear you. This is the part where you have to clap your hands. You know, that kind of an ending that yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Indeed, just like I would like to pick from where he stopped, and that is something, if at all you don't take anything away from here today, that is one thing you should take along with you. And I think that is also what the book Plan Z resonates, that whatever you want to do is dependent on you, regardless of the very many external factors that will have to come into play. You still have to create your own reality. Realities are forced on us, maybe by environment, by the kind of people who relate to it. But in the end, it is the reality that you create for yourself that matters. Mr. Amit, you couldn't have put it better than that. Thank you so much for that inspiring session. I believe we all have taken one or two things away from there, from the slums of Makoko down to where you are today. I think a lot of Makoko, because I have a lot of senior colleagues who also lived through Makoko, and they are doing great now. And one thing you also mentioned that I think I relate with, and I want to implore people out there who are also listening to, is to always remember your roots, where you're from. That is also a means of propellant, a means to push you to do more than others, to give the extra. You have to put in the work. Those who are there today did not get there because they are by luck. Of course, there might be an element of luck, but if you do not put in that work, if you are not prepared, when the opportunity comes, then it makes it worth of no good. Thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed Kayode Alabi, for that insightful session. We hope you continue to build the Plan Z family even beyond today. At this point, I'd like to quickly honor the presence of two of our very great supporters, especially for the author of this book, Al-ameen Abolare, who joined us earlier on. One of whom is Omotunde Olambinwonu. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us here today. Your presence is much appreciated. We understand how packed your time can be, your schedule can be, but we do not take this time that we have decided to spend. All right, sincere apologies for that break in transmission once again. Like I mentioned earlier, this is one of the new realities that we have found ourselves to live with, and because of our kind of the kind of environment we find ourselves, the network. Wow. We are so sorry for that. We quite understand the kind of glitches we're having with the network issues, but nonetheless, I will keep striving further. Before that break, I was trying to welcome one of our mothers who joined us earlier on, Mrs. Umuani Omotunde Magajolambiwonu. Thank you so much for joining us. She's the director of training and welfare of the Lagos State Development and Property Corporation. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. We also had joined us while Mr. Ahmed was speaking, the CEO of Brainy Educare Services, an education consultant for so many years, who is so very much concerned, worried, and very much eye on children and with their welfare, their growing up, and their literacy. Mrs. Eniola Shakiro Olajobi. Thank you so much, ma'am. We appreciate your presence. We are glad that you could join in despite your busy schedule as well as Mrs. Kumwani. We say thank you so much. Your presence, for both of you, your presence means a lot to us here today. Very quickly, we'll be going to the launch proper, which is the main reason why we are here. And I'll have a number of people to call who are going to be launching this book today. But you permit me, before I go into that, very quickly, we'll be reviewing this book, right? We'll be reviewing this book. Just a second, please. All right, yes, sorry for that. Like I mentioned earlier, we would be taking the book review before we go into the launch proper. But before we take the book review, for those of us who had joined earlier, I had mentioned that we had the honor of having the Commissioner of Education, Lagos State, Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo, joining us. As I'm being rightly informed, ably represented by Mrs. from she's been represented by Miss Antonia Popola from the Department of Curriculum, Lagos State Ministry of Education. So, Mrs. Popola, thank you so much for joining us. You have the floor to take the Commissioner's speech now.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for this lovely. Sorry, I'm in a very, very funny area, so you can't actually see my face right now, but thank you for the opportunity to be here right now. I'm representing the Ministry
Ms. Popola, I think you're speaking, but I'm not sure if your mic is unmuted, but I can see it seems like you're speaking.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Like I said thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, representing Honorable Commissioner Mrs. Folashade Adifisere and my department, Curriculum Services Department. I'm a little bit nervous because I've never done this before, but going forward for the when I spoke with the author and read the book, it was very, very insightful. It goes a long way to see how much struggles we go through. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Loud
Okay,
and clear, we can.
Thank you very much. It goes so far to tell us how much struggles the youth or every young person go through. Now, I'm pretty sure if our commissioner was here, if my commissioner was here, she already has like some experiences, because I mean she's elderly. But right now, I'm speaking from the very, very young face, and I can tell you that a lot of us have issues, especially when we are trying to decide what we want to be for ourselves whilst growing up, whilst moving through this adulting phase. I remember as a child when I was asked what I wanted to be, I said I wanted to be a princess. And little did I know that for you to be a princess, you need to either be married into a royal family or somehow be affiliated to one. So you can see how much more I've had to grow to realize that there are some things that I need. For me to be this, I have to do a lot of thinking and all that. So for a young person, it's always very, very difficult because we have to decide whatever it is that we do now affects our future. So the book has been very, very, it answers some questions, like most ones that we are very, very confused in. And I'm very, very glad that, and I'm grateful that he has at least helped the education sector to curb a little bit of confusion in the young ones. So I would like to appreciate his efforts, and I would like to thank him so much for what he has done so far. It's a very beautiful thing. Like my director told him the other time, it's a stepping stone, because I can imagine how much he has had to go through to just put that together. So I would like to thank him on behalf of the Ministry of Education, Lagos State, and the commissioner, and I would personally like to support him with whatever it is that I can as time goes by. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Popola. I bet, or I should just add Princess Popola to that already. Thank you so much. I can very much relate with and that's when you ask what you want to become in future and say you want to become a princess. I think I've also had some younger ones of today ask what you want to become. I want to become a mommy or a daddy, really, because that's what they think those things are. But like you said, the book Plan Z touches a lot about the confusion that a lot of us youths or younger ones face in the world today. And if you go by the book, and he also mentioned something there, that he has stated the reasons why the book might fail, and that is basically dependent on the individual reading the book. Trust me, this book is something that you must get as a youth. And I would also like to reiterate, for the benefit of those of us who were not here earlier, that we have gotten approval to share 100 copies of this book across public schools in Lagos State. That is to tell you the quality of the content that the ministry have deemed fit that, okay, this book is worthy for our youth, the young ones out there, to read and to take lessons from. So if you are willing to support, just like Spokwala has mentioned, this project in any way, in terms of material, sponsorship, partnership, connections, we really much appreciate. You can reach out to the author on his lines on the book. Thank you so much, Mr. Spokwala, ably representing the Commissioner of Education of Lagos State here today. We really appreciate your presence, and please take assurances of best regards to the Commissioner.
I will. Thank you very much, Mr. Laxi.
All right. Thank you so much, Spokwala. Without further ado, like I mentioned earlier, we are trying to work as much as possible, work with the organizers and our very special guests to ensure that we are able to efficiently manage time so that we don't eat in to our personal times. It is indeed a lot that we have sacrificed to be here today. Trust me, it is not taken for granted. It is well appreciated. Every second you spend here, every minute, and even every hour, we pray that only goodness can be rewarded with goodness. Thank you so much, everyone. I also want to especially again thank our chairman of the day. I've seen that perhaps due to network, there has been times he had to be logged out. He has joined back. The consistency with which he joins back again says a lot about his personality. That's Honorable Fuad Laguda. Thank you so much, sir, for continuously joining. I've seen you go out and come in again, which I believe should be network issues, but you so consistently come back here. Thank you so much for sparing us your time. Straight away, we'll go to the book review of Plan Z. This will be done by someone whom I believe is in a very good place to review the book for different reasons. For she herself is a writer. She is one that is particular about youth. She is one that is particular about self-motivation. She is one that's particular about excellence. She is one that wants to get the best out of everyone. She is the one that believes that everyone can be good if you put in the effort. I'm talking about no other than the CEO of Brainy Care Services, Mrs. Eniola Shakiro Olajobi, who is an educational consultant in Lagos State, and she has been doing this since 2007. She has been at the forefront of presenting in very unusual form education for the mind and equipping young people for life outside the school setting. She is also the author of The Life Kit, which is an emotional wellness toolkit for kids. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our very revered Mrs. Eniola Shakiro Olajobi, who will be taking the book review for Plan Z. You have the floor now, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here, and I feel very honored to be playing the role that I've been asked to. So we're here gathered to celebrate not just the accomplishment of Comrade Al-ameen. I call him a comrade because he's one of the people that when I look at, I'm hopeful that things will get better in Nigeria. But we're also here to celebrate the success of us as a people, as a nation, because until our young people begin to think outside the box and see ways by which they can contribute to development, then we're not going to move forward until our young people see that they can do things like this. So once again, I say congratulations to you, Al-ameen, and congratulations to all of us, as this is a progress for us as a people and as a nation. Can everyone hear me? I'm not sure.
Loud and
Yes,
clear,
we
loud
can.
and clear.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yes, I'm supposed to give a review of the book, Plan Z. For me, it was first the title. So I thought, okay, we all know Plan A, Plan B. What's your Plan B? But now Plan Z, like you had to skip all 24 alphabets between B and then go all the way to Z. So the first catch was the title. And I was curious to know what Plan Z meant and what it was about. As someone who's spent a lot of years exploring self-discovery for young people, I was greatly inspired reading Plan Z because what I saw was a very finely, like very detailed breakdown of self-discovery and how to start. But even before starting, there was this wake-up call to that tickling realization that, look, there is no reality. You create your own reality. It was about harming the reader with the power to see that they can be more and do more, with the power to see that there's a lot more than what we ordinarily think that we can do. And a lot of times we just say, oh, life has just thrown me this. What can I do? What can I mean? If only. And then we keep looking at what could be rather than doing what we want with life. So the first thing that the book did was to wake the reader up to the fact that there's a whole lot more than you can do with life. And it starts from here. It starts from your head. So there was extensive explanation of how to beat that negative mindset. And then this was followed by the practical steps that you need to take in redefining, in transforming your life, talked about the internal chaos, talked about the environment and why you had to become very intentional about the things you take in as your emotional or self-development food, as I call it, from the things you see to the things you hear, to your immediate environment and the kind of positivity that you take in. Because sometimes we do not even realize that we're soaking in so much negativity from our environment and it's holding us back. So even when we want to try new things, they're like, oh, can I do it? Will it work? What if? And then we begin to look at the 1,000,001 ways that will not work. So the book was able to present step-by-step, procedures or things to do with very, very practical examples. There was a lot of story sharing. And this now went to explain certain things, unlike some self-development books where you read and you just think, oh, okay, this has to be easy. I think I can do this. There's a constant reminder in Al-ameen's book about the fact that it's not going to be easy. So he talked about the likely obstacles, the mindset struggle, there was a FOPO, which is the fear of people's opinion. Yeah. What I knew was FOMO, but I saw FOPO in the book. And, a lot of times they're like, oh, what will people say? Oh, this is a complete deviation from what I'm used to or what I should be doing or what people in my part of the world would do. So he talked about it and how you would have to embrace the struggle. So there was no sugarcoating. It made it obvious for you as a reader to realize that you would need to do a lot and you need to embrace the struggle. We've talked extensively about fear, because fear, again, holds us back. And a lot of times we really want to do something and we feel, oh, what if? And then the fear keeps holding us back. And then, of course, he ended with that, that bluntness to remind you that, look, this book is not a magic pill. Because then when people read books or go for self-development programs, they just expect their life to be magically turned around. Say, I went for that course. There was nothing. I read the book. Nothing happened. They say it's a transformational, but I don't understand. He reminded us that part where he puts reasons why this book may fail. I was curious when I saw that, really? Oh, this book may fail. And then when I read it, I understood that, okay, yeah, it was just a reminder that your life is in your hands and making good use of the tips shared in the book will still depend on you, because yes, you can take a horse to the river, they say, but you can't force it to drink water. So for me, it was a complete manual, I tell you. And I think every young person should get a hold of Plan Z, whether high school, and the language used very simple and straightforward. So whether high school, whether university, even for adults, it's a complete manual for life. I call it the life kit. I have a series of books I call the life kit, but this is a self-development life kit. Well done, Al-ameen. I'm so personally proud of you. And yes, like I said, it is highly recommended. And I think every young person who wants to become better and do more should get a copy of this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Olajobi. In fact, this is the point where I would have wished we were in a hall and I'll have gotten a rousing ovation for this very, very wonderful review. In fact, while she was reviewing, thank you so much for assisting with that. While she was reviewing, right, it felt like I was almost just reminiscing all what I've read about the book. And I'm shaking my head like, this is the perspective. Indeed, the book is just as she has said it. It is a must-have for every youth out there. In fact, even adults. When children are growing, there are some immunizations that they are called MPIs. We call them in the health sector the must-haves. Like if you don't have these vaccines, that child is susceptible to some kind of diseases. This is what this book is. This book is an MPI for every youth out there. It is a must-have book for you. Thank you so much, Ms. Olajobi, for doing very, very wonderfully well in reviewing that. For those who have not gotten this book, please, you don't want to hear that this book is already out of stock. And just to reiterate again, we've gotten the approval to share about 100 copies of this book across public schools in Lagos State. Again, that is a testament to the quality of the content that the ministry feels that this book contains and should be spread out. Let's take it one step at a time, one life at a time. Thank you so much, Al-ameen, for making this happen. And just like Mrs. Olajobi said, when I also saw the title of the book, that was the first catch for me. While Mrs. Olajobi was thinking of plan A, plan B, plan Z, I, on the flip side, was thinking perhaps the title came from the inspiration of Generation Z, because I believe at one point in time or the other, everyone, even the Generation X now, they are sometimes also they were at a point where they were Generation Z, so to say. But that is not a debate for today. Thank you so much, everyone, once again for joining. I would also like to appreciate the guest of our chairman of the day, that's Mr. Fuad Laguda, who have also joined here. Who have honored us with their presence. In no particular order, I have Mrs. Ajoke Laguda, Mr. Adewale Kabir, Mr. Farid Laguda, Mrs. Aisha Onikeku. I hope I did not mispronounce that name. Mrs. Ariola Shoneko and Mr. Abdulwahid Shotonwa. Thank you so much for honoring us through honoring Mr. Fuad Laguda. For being here today. And it keeps getting better as we move on today, because I can also confirm to you that our keynote speaker has also joined in. And while we'll be waiting for the lunch, I just wanted to confirm again, so we'll take a keynote speech before we go into the lunch proper, because I believe that's why we are here. Do not forget, once again, if you'd like to support this project in any way that you can, like they say, little drops of water make the mighty ocean. We have to build and start from somewhere. Every word you say is a support. Every connection you create is also a support. Please check the charts to see how you can support this project. All right, we would be going to the lunch straight. I will be starting with our chairman of the day, who impressed, like I must confess that he has been with us since we started, and he has always joined back every time the network tries to act funny. Before we go to that, I would also like to appreciate the presence of another of our mothers, Mrs. Poporola Olokun Olawonyi. She's an executive at ECO Electricity Distribution and Regulatory, and she is also an author. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us, for honoring us with your presence today. We understand how busy and packed your schedule might have been, but you deemed it fit to honor us with your presence here today. We do not in any way take that for granted. Like I mentioned earlier, I'll be going straight to the lunch, and our first luncher of today would be none other than our able chairman, Mr. Fuad Laguda. In between his lunch, we'll be taking his goodwill message and then his lunch in the next couple of minutes. Mr. Laguda, you have the floor now.
Good morning, everyone. Hello.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Laguda. We can hear you.
First, let me apologize for the login and log out. That was definitely was a network, and I'm actually on the move, so that's why. First and foremost, I want to congratulate Al-ameen, who happens to be a mentee, and I should use this opportunity to thank him to find me worthy to be a mentor for choosing me. I appreciate him. You should believe that I'm also drawing a lot of strength from him as well, because he saw me out of the blues and he walked up to me and he chose me. That means he has been studying me like the way he studied to write his Plan Z. I must also say that I find the topic very, very interesting. And, you know, I'm one of those people that think that the Gen Z people are out of this world with their thoughts and the way they see things and do things. But I mean, the people I have on today, I actually have my children on here today. I have my wards as well, my nieces, they're on as well. I want to say a big thank you to them for joining, because they are actually, there's a time difference on where they are right now. So they actually went out of their way to join. I say a big thank you to you kids. I didn't take it for granted. Thanks for honoring me. And to other people that I invited, my friends, Aisha, Gabriel is also a friend, an associate, and a mentee. I also have Wahid here and all stuff others. I also have someone, a very good older friend of mine and a senior of mine in secondary school. And on behalf of our school, I say a big thank you to the Plan Z community for finding us worthy to honor us. So by that, I invited the president of the old students, who also with us. And on behalf of the school, I say a big thank you. I've not read the book, but I tried as much as possible to listen attentively to the review and everything. I would also read the book so I can understand the Z generation better. I encourage the younger ones to read. I would also, in terms of sponsorship, I would like to be pardoned not to make an announcement on this platform, but I guarantee Al-ameen that all support and sponsorship would definitely come from me, and it's definitely go. It's not just about buying the books and this thing, but my support would be not just buying, but also making sure it has a wide spread and across a lot of people. I would also want to use this medium to also appeal. I think Mr. Peter is off the meeting now, but if a message can be gotten across to him, it should help us and see how we can make this ebook, how we could do something about this. For Mr. Ahmed, I learned a lot from all the things that he said earlier about his humble beginning, how he grew up and things he had to do. Wow, that was moving. And he has said we should go and read more about him. I would also try and do that. So on behalf of myself and my family and my friends on the platform that are here today, I say a very big thank you to Al-ameen for finding us worthy to be invited. And you should be rest assured that we will give huge support to this book. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lakuda, for your goodwill message and your kind support, your kind promise to support this project, Plan Z, and the author. Indeed, it is one that we value so much, and what indeed cannot express our appreciation. Thank you so much. And to all his guests, his nieces and words who have made it out of their way to ensure that they attend this session, we thank you so much. We can only hope that you leave here a better person and inspired, not just inspired, and put your inspiration into work. Thank you so much for joining in. Like I said, with time, as we grow older into this session, it gets enriched, it gets better. We'll go to our next launcher, who is also joined in. He is the father of many. Yeah, for those who know him, he is called the Grand Mentor. He is a renowned expert in the energy and power sector in Nigeria, and the founder and Grand Mentor of Nasir Giwa Mentorship Platform. And the goal of this foundation, of this platform, is to breed the next generation top executives and entrepreneurs who will make positive changes to Nigeria, not just Nigeria, Africa, and the world at large. He is a wonderful father to many young people. Ladies and gentlemen, well, I know your hands are not too busy, but I can't hear them. But if your smiles are not exhausted, please share them as a welcome at Engineer Nasir Giwa for his goodwill and his launch. Thank you so much for joining us, Engineer Giwa.
Well, thank you so much. I think first and foremost, I need to apologize. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Grand Mentor. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much. So first and foremost, I want to apologize for joining it. Unfortunately, I mixed up the dates. I don't know, for whatever reason, I thought this is going to happen next week, even though I was already prepared to attend. So thank you very much, Al-ameen. Great job. When you look at my network, the people I respect most are actually writers and readers. When you write and when you read, at least if you cannot write and you read, you will certainly enrich yourself. You will have added a lot of value to yourself. So for those who write, therefore, they are giving us opportunity to improve ourselves. They are giving us opportunity to expose ourselves. They are giving us opportunity to know more and to learn more. Without books, we will not be who we are. You can ask anyone who is an executive, who is on top, ask them, they will tell you that they read a lot. It's the only way we can enrich ourselves. So thank you very much, Lamin, for giving us this opportunity to further enrich ourselves. And like the last speaker said, this deserves nothing but support from us. And I want to promise, inshallah, that this will be hugely supported by myself also. And we need to sit down together with Al-ameen to see how we can collaborate and work together to spread the message contained therein in the very valuable book. Al-ameen is one of the members of the prestigious NGM mentorship platform. Membership to that platform are exclusive and carefully selected. For you to be a member of that platform, it means you have been specially identified. And I'm happy, I'm proud that Al-ameen is one of us. One of the things we do on the platform is reading books, because we don't read books, there is no way we can actually achieve our set goals. So I will not speak much since I came late, but I once again want to thank Al-ameen for taking time to write this book, for giving us the great opportunity to add value to ourselves. Thank you very much. May Allah further enrich your knowledge.
All right. Thank you so much, Grand Mentor, for that very wonderful goodwill message. And we are glad to know that you are very willing to support this project, Plan Z, as much as required. We can only hope for better days for you too, sir. Thank you so much for being here and honoring us with your presence. You know, something that strikes me about this gathering here today is that you rarely see gatherings like this that are being organized by the youth who are termed Generation Z in this time. An intellectual gathering like this, that's one. Secondly, and not when you have, even at all, you have such gatherings, the quality and caliber of people that you get to see at such events, you would agree with me that from all those who have spoken, you would agree that there has been a lot of work put in by the organizers of this launch to bring in these people who are top executives in their own right and in various fields in the industry, from different industries. And out of that busy schedule, they've made out time to be here. That says a lot about the quality of today's event. And indeed, I must confess to you, I am very, very honored to be here, being the pilot of this launch. And I wouldn't have been happy with myself if I had missed this for anything. So thank you so much, Al-ameen, for putting this together and for bringing together all these great minds. Okay, technology, please, if you kindly assist to mute all those who are not to speak. Thank you so much. Next up, we'll go to one of our Mothers, who has also been here with us since we started. She has been, her presence has been a strong pull of support for us throughout today's event. I introduced her earlier, Director Training and Welfare at Lagos State Development and Property Corporation. She is an experienced Deputy General Manager with a demonstrated history of working in the commercial real estate industry. She is skilled in negotiation, talent management, coaching, employee management, and succession planning. All of these skills I've read out are things that I so much am very big on. And I think I have a lot of work to do after here. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our next launcher, who would also in between be giving a goodwill message, Mrs. Umuani Omotunde Mogaji Olambiwonu. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here with us.
Thank you so much. That was so lush. Good afternoon, everybody. It's wonderful being here. I read the book, and it's amazing. It's an amazing book. And I love the way the chapters follow each other. The chapter 3, is an assumption of the fact that, we've been reading the book from forward to to chapter 1 to chapter 2. And the chapter 3 sort of, if you really were reading, right, you would understand the fact that he would know exactly what you're thinking of, and chapter 3 was really very amazing for me for so many reasons. Now, this world, there are no boxes. We created all boxes ourselves, boxes by environment, boxes by our parents, boxes by, by everything. It is a normal thing, and that is the way life really is. In any environment we're in, whether you're in the European environment, the American environment, any environment, you're boxed in by culture, you're boxed in by your environment, you're boxed in by quite a lot of adages within that environment that eventually shape who you are. Right? Remember what Rasulullah said, that if a child is born on a natural fitra, in psychology, they call that tabula rasa, that is a clean slate, right? A child is born on a clean slate. That's not what happens. It is his parents that make him a Christian or a Jew. In other words, it's the environment usually that determines a lot of things afterwards. Now, this book is not, for my own judgment, it's not just for the young, like is assumed to be. It is also for the young at heart. It is for everybody, as a matter of fact. Because you see, our mind questions quite a lot of things. It questions our being. It questions the situation we're in. It questions whether you're doing enough. And these questions keep on coming. It's a natural way the brain has been wired. 2 ways it can be done. It can be addressed. Either you pass it on, meaning that you push it away and do not address it, or you listen and then try to address all the queries your mind is bringing forward. It's a wonderful, wonderful book, and it deals a lot about psychology of human thinking, psychology of knowing that, there are really no walls. All we have are just glass walls, and all you have to do is just push it a bit, and you see how much the space is for you to grow. Now, I'm very happy, Al-ameen, for this wonderful book you've put forward. I love it for so many reasons. It's simple, just like Zawajabi said, very simple. The words are easy to read, and what would I would have loved so much, because in the world we're in now, right? Technology is the key, to acceptance, right? I love the book because it was not just real. You brought in a lot of storytelling, and storytelling is the key to, anybody reading any book. Your stories are good. Your stories are stories people want to identify with, not just the young, right? You talked about yourself being in the boss, and if you're not really very happy with what you're hearing, what you do, you bud up, you put your earbuds and you listen to whatever it is you want to listen to. See, that's his technology. But my thought now to this book is such a wonderful book that, as it has been written for a certain age, right? I'm thinking it will also be wonderful. It can be watered down, to younger, very young minds, in a way that you do not, you make their parents like someone to look up to really, but that is not the end of it all. It's just the beginning. They're just like a pathway for you to realize who you are. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful book, and that I've read it, I had to grind myself down to read it. And, when I was reading, I said, okay, fine, this is really wonderful. At the point in time, I couldn't read anymore. Why? Because I was really very busy. So I told my technology again to keep reading for me so that I can do jottings. You see, technology is beautiful. And there's nothing as wonderful as either putting this book in e-copy, voice copy, and believe it or not, into cartoon books, it would be wonderful. Comic books, it would be wonderful. Part of my support, of course, the first support is that I've read it and I love it. The second support is that I'm going to share with everybody, in my department. When I say share, I mean I'm going to share the content and the beauty of it and how it affects them. The third is that I'm going to do whatever I can. You have sent in your account. I'm going to do whatever I can, before the end of this program. I'm going to send you whatever I can by God's grace. And like I said earlier on, the sky's the limit. In fact, they say there's no more limits. Just keep on going because people are going to the moon and to the space. So you see, so there's really no limit. I just pray that you handhold other people and teach them how to be, the better best of themselves. Thank you so much for having me here, and thank everybody for being here as well. I'm actually so pleased. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Magaji Olambimonu, for that goodwill message. Again, she has testified to the quality of the book, and just like our reviewer also mentioned, so you can see that everyone seems to agree on one thing, that we create our own realities regardless of what our environment growing up has boxed up us into. Just like the book states, you have to create your own reality. And one thing I appreciate most of our facilitators is that almost of our speakers that have spoken is that they have also read this book. So it also speaks a lot in their in the way they give a review and their own feedback on this book. So thank you so much once again to everyone who have taken our time to read the book, and even for those who add technology rated them. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all the efforts. And we are glad to know that you'll be supporting this project, Plan Z, beyond today. Very quickly, we need to take, before I take my final launcher, I'll need to quickly take another mentor of the author who needs to actually be at another engagement, but has also joined us very quickly. He will be in the next couple of minutes talk about the author, who the author is. He is a medical doctor with passion for education and human capital development. He has worked as a senior medical doctor. He is now the principal of the Outliers College, and he also chairs the board of the Outlier School. Also, he wears another cap as the CEO of NeoNeurons Concept. If you have read the book, I'm talking about the man who wrote the foreword of the book, Dr. Fatai Olajobi, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. Very quickly, I just want to talk about the author of the book, Al-ameen Abolare. I met Al-ameen about 5 years ago. Then he was still in secondary school. He was the head boy of his school. I went to speak at a leadership training for prefects from secondary schools in Sule. And a week after that, I got a message in my DM on LinkedIn from somebody who introduced himself as Al-ameen Abolare, that was willing to come into my mentorship, that was inspired by my speech at the leadership workshop. And then the journey started. And ever since then, I've not regretted having him around me. When he finished secondary school, he followed up on me. He said he wanted to intern with me. He has interned with me. He still volunteers with me. He's spoken at different youth engagements, and it's all inspiring. In fact, 2 weeks ago, one of my staff, who is a psychologist, who told me that, with our school psychologist, told me that, anytime he listens to Al-ameen, he knew that he must have read a lot of books, was always inspiring, was always, it's intriguing and it's life-changing. The talks are usually not for him, they're for students, but every time he picks 1 or 2 lessons from it to add to his journey in his life. I've read the book, it's so inspiring for me. I believe that people of that age need such books. And I would say that God has really blessed his generation and the generation younger than him with his talent. And I'm happy to say that he is using his talent well to develop his peers and those younger than him. I want to encourage us all to support him through, it's supporting him. I'm not talking about supporting him financially. I'm talking about supporting him by making his vision of helping the younger people actualize their dreams a reality. So what he had in mind was to simplify methods through which younger people can achieve their dreams. He discovered a way that seemed easier to achieve your dreams as a young person. And he decided to put it in the form of a book that is concise in the way Plan Z is. It speaks with sincerity and passion, and is written also in that book with the same passion with which he walks and speaks. I did not say more. I would say that his focus is not on material gains. His focus is on self-improvement. And that shows clearly in the book and everything he does. He volunteers repeatedly without making effort. I would say that this book should go to places, and I'm hoping that those of us that are people of influence will help his dream of getting this book to every young person, help his dream of getting to every young person a reality by campaigning for him, from what Ms. Olabi said, making sure that everybody you come across knows about the book. Because really, that it's very difficult to change people. It's easier for us to work on the younger generations, so that our society will not be the same. We want it to improve. They can't just keep complaining, and it's tough for adults to change. So those that are younger should get information. The more they read, the better they get. It can never be enough. I think with this, I need not say more. Yeah, I am sure that for those of us that have had some contact with him, we understand what I've said about him, and the fact that he's a focus. Thank you have everybody that is present here for coming. Thank you for listening. I'm done, Mr. Asani.
Yes, sorry, I took it. So I think we lost you for your audio for a second, so I wasn't sure. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Olajobi, for that very, very short insight about who the author really is. We appreciate your presence. and we thank you for your support so far. All right, I would be taking, like I mentioned earlier, my final launcher for today. Afterwards, we are gradually coming to the end of today's launch. To mention and to notify everyone as well that just like Mrs. Umwani mentioned earlier, we've actually received our support towards this project, as she mentioned. Thank you so much, ma'am. We appreciate every word you've said and every support you've given. We can only pray that you grow further from strength to strength. All right, before I take my final launcher, I also like to remind us that you can also support this project Plan Z in any way that you can. Like Dr. Olajubi mentioned, it does not necessarily have to be financial. It could be in any form. And like Mrs. Umani also mentioned, it could be that you spread the word, the content, the lessons from the book. It could also be like Mr. Laguda mentioned, buying the book and sharing and ensuring that it goes further than where it is currently. The reach is alone is a kind of support. So whatever way you can, please help to support. We also have another launcher, but I currently understand that she is in transit and might not be able to speak. Nonetheless, I would introduce her, and then if she is able to speak, that's fine. However, if she isn't, perhaps she'll just drop a message in the chat, and then we can move on. I introduced her earlier when she joined. She is an assistant general manager with Eco Electricity Distribution PLC. She is very passionate and enthusiastic about the power sector, with commitment to contributing to reliable power supply in the world, particularly in Africa. And she is the author of the fast-selling book, The Nigerian Electricity Supply Industry, Post-Privatization, Realities, Trends, and Challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Kofoworola Olokun Olawoyin. So ma'am, if you can speak, kindly unmute. If you can't, just kindly drop a message in the chat, and we'll do our best to acknowledge that, and then so we can quickly take our final launcher, and then before we take the vote of thanks and get to meet the author. While we're waiting for her to do that, okay, I'm believing she's still unable to speak, so we'll look forward to seeing her message in the chat. Our final launcher is also our book reviewer, Mrs. Olajobi, who had earlier reviewed the book. All right, so in the next couple of seconds, she'll be taking a goodwill message and then also launching this project. Mrs. Olajobi, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Latif. What more can I say? It's an amazing book, and yes, we'll be providing all of the support. We're going to get copies at Brainier Care. We're going to get copies at the Outlier School, and you will definitely get to hear from us. Thank you to all the people who have made it. Thank you to all the speakers. So it's very heartwarming to see the support and from the chairman and all the special guests and everybody else that has spoken. Thank you for supporting the dream of a young man and supporting the future for all of us. So we'll definitely be in touch. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Olajobi, for keeping that very, very brief. Once again, I'd like to use the opportunity to say a very big thank you to all our invited guests, from the chairman, Mr. Laguda, to Engineer Giwa, to Mrs. Magaji Olambiwano, to Mrs. Olokun Olawoyin. Thank you so much, Dr. Olajobi, to Mr. Peter Ngigu, who joined us and I think he's also exited. Thank you so much, everyone, for making today a reality. Before we take the vote of thanks from the author himself, I'll quickly like to indulge him and also indulge the audience. I'll just like to have a quick chat with the author just to get a few things out of him. So Al-ameen, please confirm that we are good to go.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
All right. All right, thank you so much. All right, Mr. All right, thank you everyone who has joined once again. If I'm to read through all the names, perhaps we might not have the time. Also, I'd like to appreciate Mr. Alexander, who has also been with us from the onset of this launch. So, Al-ameen, very quickly, we I think we are still on track to finish. I think we are still on track to finish at our stated time. So, but I would just want us to keep this as brief as possible. So, can you tell me how long did this book take for you to come up with the first manuscript? And how long did it take in total?
This is actually something that a question that somehow I've been. So before I go on, thank you very much. This is the first time I would speak on this event, so I should really thank everyone. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. I really appreciate the support that everybody has shown. I must say that there's been a very high level of anxiety in myself, you know, leading up to this day, because this is the first time that I'll do this, and I took a step that was even a little daunting for me by reaching out to all these amazing big people to come and help launch this book, and I deeply appreciate the support from everyone. And Mr. Alex was my primary six class teacher, and he was a very, 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 very amazing individual that really supported a lot. And a lot of the things that I do today has its roots in most of the things that he taught us then, and the way he related with us. It was just, you know, a different kind of teacher in primary school for us, and he really laid the foundation for most of the things that I'm able to do today, and I'm super grateful to you, Mr. Alex. Thank you for joining the call. Yes, so, and Mr. Fuad Lakuda, engineer Nostrigo, the ground mentor, Mrs. Umwani, I really appreciate the kind words, Mrs. O. Thank you so much for reviewing the book, and everyone that was on this call but had to leave. So, Mr. Latif, I'm sorry I diverted from your question. I just really had to show how overwhelmed I am right now. Yes, so I was saying that answering the question of how long it took to write the initial manuscript. So it's a question I try to avoid, because I think it took me a very, very short time that when I tell people, they find it hard to believe. So I actually wrote the bulk of the book in about 2 weeks, and I completed it in the next week. So it took me 3 weeks in total to write the book. And I think the reason it took me 3 weeks is because all of the things actually that are in the book were not things that I had to, you know, start doing extensive research about. They were already things that I was very, very familiar with. And all I had to do was just sit in front of my laptop and type these things out. So they didn't take so much time to get out. And that was what made it very fast. I've worked with, through my relationship with Dr. O and Mrs. O, Dr. Lajabi and Mr. Lajabi, I've been able to work with young people to help them figure out ways to do this. And so it's the experience and the knowledge was already there, and I just had to just sit down and put the words down.
All right, thank you so much, Al-ameen, for that. Yes, it's understandable. I am overwhelmed by the support that we've received today, my various speakers, and the kind words. Indeed, words cannot quantify gratitude. We say thank you so much for it to everyone again. Also to Mr. Amisa, thank you so much. Hope Mr. Amisa was the one that used to flog very well in primary school. Or did you use a lot of kid there?
Well, he flogged too, but it was
where necessary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Amisa, for the support so far. Yeah. So you mentioned like for you, a lot of youth have also gone through these experiences. But what actually inspired you to say, okay, I need to then sit down and pen this down for others to benefit from?
Okay, I think that stemmed from again my all of these things, I would say 90% of everything stemmed from my relationship with Dr. and Mrs. O, because I can trace almost everything back to them. And so when I first met Doctor and we were having, mentorship, and we would have talks, we would tell me about a few things. And the thought that was going through my head at that point was, wow, this is something that a lot more young people are unable to access. I have access to these things because I'm able to meet somebody like this. But there are billions of young people out there that are not able to meet anybody that can, assist them in learning what are the very first critical steps that young people need to take to build a good life for themselves, right? What do people need to do? Those steps are really not available. And so that was the motivation for me, because looking at me having the opportunity to meet someone or to meet people that would assist and help and guide, I just felt like I had friends that didn't have access to this kind of thing. So writing Plan Z for me was just to democratize access to finding the tools and the opportunities and the steps that people need to take to begin that journey of growth.
All right. Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Al-ameen, for that. Taking your words, FOPO, fear of people's opinion. So after writing the book, have you had to battle with any of that, or have you had any maybe naysayers tell you, is it about the book? Your book is just inspiration? Just like you mentioned in your book, there are a lot of reasons why the book may fail. Is that people would read, get inspired, and then expect things to happen overnight. So have you had any encounter with FOPO since you wrote the book?
I think I would say yes to that, because but most of my fear, FOPO is fear of people's opinion. It was something that I wrote about in the book. So most of my fear were self-originated, right? Like I just, at some point, whenever we do things that are a little bit higher than the present level that we are, we get scared, right? We're afraid. We don't know what people would think about it, and we get this thing called imposter syndrome. And I also experienced this. But as much as I experienced the fear of, oh, would people think this is a good book? Oh, would people think that, who is this author? So what has he achieved in his own life? What gives him the right to write a book about this? And I would listen to some people that have read the book, right? And a friend of mine, I just sent him the e-copy to read. And after he read the book, he called me and he said, Al-ameen, I swear you don't know what you have. And the moment he said that, it was very, very overwhelming for me. And every time I have that fear of, okay, is this book really good? Or would people really gain anything from this book? I just remember that statement that you don't know what you have here, right? And every single person that I shared the book with, or I shared an excerpt with, it was the same comment. And it didn't even matter about the age, right? And it just, that was that helped me in managing the fear of what would people think about this, and how should we present this to people? But really, the fear was there. I don't think it is possible to totally get rid of the fear. But what you just need to do is to manage the fear and work with it.
All right, thank you. I mean, finally, maybe penultimately, what's your plan for Plan Z after the first publication? What's your plan for Plan Z? How far do you want Plan Z to go? Or do you see Plan Z going? Or have you envisaged Plan Z to go?
Yes. So what I consider to be my purpose in life is to equip as many young people as possible with the tools and resources they need to build a thriving life and career. And so that is my goal, right? That is why I write Plan Z. That is why I started Growth Road also. And the vision I have for Plan Z is to get it into the hands of as many young people as possible. And we started partnering with schools. The Outlier School is one school that adopted the book immediately. We also have the Suleiman School that at Dokwemu that adopted the book, right? For their entire secondary school, senior secondary school, yeah, from SS1 to SS3. And we've partnered with the Lagos State Ministry of Education, as you've been mentioning, to donate to 10 schools. So I'm really looking forward to the possibilities of this book getting into the hands of secondary school students, senior secondary school students, particularly because that is a stage where they are very much open to nurture it. Dr. Lajabi would say things that it is best to teach people things at young age because most adults are frozen, and that's the word he uses. You say it in Yoruba that I want it gone. That most adults are frozen, and it is very hard to break them, right? So, but young people are easier to break. Younger people are even much more easier to break. And so the goal is to get it into the hands of as many young people as possible, to get this to be adopted as a text, as a reading text in schools, because this is the area of personal growth is a very, very much ignored area that we don't really pay attention to. So we're looking forward to this book. I'm looking forward to this book getting adopted by schools as a reading text that every child must read. Just like they read, they use New General Mathematics as a textbook. Let's have Plan Z as a book, as a guide for personal growth in as many schools as possible to help these young people begin the journey. It is very sad to know that 6 out of every 10 unemployed Africans are young people. So if you get 10 unemployed people in Africa, 6 out of them are young people. And these are young people with, filled with capacity, filled with potential, but we don't really know the steps we need to take. What do I need to do to build a successful life and career for myself? Sometimes we just hope that, okay, things would work out, and we hope to stumble on things, but we're not really stumbling on those things. And that is what Plan Z addresses. And the vision is to get it across Nigeria, across Africa, and across the world generally, because this is a manual that I believe shouldn't be restricted to only one part. So I would be dedicating a significant part of my time to ensuring that we get the partnerships and we get the sponsorships that can help get Plan Z into the hands of young people that are going to shape the future of the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. And at the point, I was almost thinking perhaps Al-ameen was already voice typing Plan Z Reloaded, because you could see he was living the book. He was already bringing out the passion, the emotion, everything that he put into that book. You can also, if you read the book, you understand that what all of the things he said are from experience. And like I can't remember who mentioned it earlier, that he didn't just write the book because he wanted to write them. He wrote them because he had lived through them. And he also mentioned something that he was able to write the books in about 3 weeks or in less than 4 weeks. So which means that it came naturally and was able to put that down. So ladies and gentlemen, you've seen Al-ameen's dream for this project. You've seen how far he wants it to go, and I believe everyone here also wants the same. I strongly believe that you would not want the prosperity. You would not want the prosperity of this book if you had taken your time to be here. So you being here is already a testament to the fact that you also support this project. You also see this dream that Al-ameen is envisaging. So please, ladies and gentlemen, let's do our bit, our tiny bits, no matter how tiny we would think it might be, let's do our bit to support it. We mentioned earlier that we received approval from the Lagos State Ministry of Education to distribute 100 copies across 10 public schools, like Al-ameen mentioned, here in Lagos State. We hope to do more because taken by that number, that's about 10 per school. So that will most likely mean that we kept in the library for the use of those who want to get there. But this is something we want every home to have. We want every youth out there to have, because it's something that's very, very, it's more like a basic, is like the foundation for you to blow on. And like Mrs. Olambiwanu mention that at this stage, we are all, these people are tabula rasa. You can just, anything you plant on them helps them create their reality, but empower them to create their own reality, not a reality that is enforced on them. We can go on and on about how wonderful this book is. Before I say a final thank you, I was wondering, Mr. Amisa, do you have something to say? Perhaps I believe you would be maybe moved to an extent to see a boy that you thought in primary school, primary 6, and now he's a young man. He's gone through secondary school 6 years, now in the university, thanks to ASO, he's still where he is, and now here today with Plan Z. I don't know if you're able to gather yourself together and pick some work together.
Hello.
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Amisa,
Can
I
you
think
hear
I
me?
can hear you. Yes, I think I can.
All right. I'm very glad to be part of this program. I actually got the IV yesterday in the night, and I made sure that I participated. I'm very glad to be here. You know, when you've been in the classroom for many years, trained a lot of people, so to say, or laid foundation, and then you start getting this kind of feedback. You feel fulfilled. You understand? I can't really express my feeling because it's beyond what I can use words to express. I'm very happy, and I wish him the very best. I've been following him on Facebook as well, so it's not something that is so surprising. I know he has a long way to go, and it's a successful journey. I'm with him all through. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Amisa, for those kind words. It's really appreciated. I understand if you really cannot find the words to express how you feel. It's just like a parent who has given birth to a child and then watching the child grow, graduating from school with honors and all of that. So I really can understand. Thank you so much, Mr. Amisa. Al-ameen, before I would like us to close this, open this occasion with the national anthem, but final words from you, again, maybe to thank everyone, and then just to postpone this further until when again Plan Z will meet.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Latif. Thank you very much, Mr. Alex, as usual. Thank you, sir. I really am overwhelmed, like I said earlier, and I'm very grateful. I never thought, I don't know, I couldn't even imagine how this event would have played out, but I'm really grateful and thankful that it played out fine, and we have very beautiful individuals that are able to join us here. I'm grateful to all our invited guests. I'm grateful to the guest of Mr. Fuad Laguda. Thank you for honoring his call. And I'm, of course, super grateful to Mr. Fuad Laguda himself. When I first met him, he presented himself as, look, I'm open, I'm definitely open. Talk to me, be cool with me. It's nothing. And I remember the first day we met, and we spoke, and he didn't go without, giving advice and talking to me about even other things and providing guidelines. And, you would know those very helpful individuals when you see them and when you meet them. And I'm very grateful to him and the support he's provided. So all our speakers, most of whom are not here right now anymore, but I really thank them. Engineer Nasser Giwa is still in the room, is someone that really, there are people that you would meet that would charge you up to an extent and change your entire mentality about things. And I keep meeting these people every frequently, right? And meeting Engineer Nasser Giwa, I remember the day I talked to him about the launch, and I just walked up to him and said, "Sir, can I have a minute of your time?" And he put his hand around my neck and he, walked me downstairs to where people to where there was no much crowd, where it was very silent, so we could talk. And I was like, wow, this man has never met me before in his entire life, and he's treating me so beautifully. And that was just an amazing experience for me meeting him. And that was where I made up my mind that I need to get close to this man. And it was the same experience for Dr. Olajobi. I mean, the meeting doctor was super amazing. And there are those few people in this world that will make you know that, look, I'm here for you, right? And those are the people that we've been able to get here today as the guests and as our speakers also. I was just to mention this very briefly, there was a day doctor was taking his son to school. This was before we met. This was before the LinkedIn message I sent him then. He was taking his son to school, and I was also walking to school. So he was driving this way, and I was going into the street, right, at the 90-degree angle to where he was driving. And as I was walking, and I just heard somebody shout "Abolare" from inside the car. And this man literally stopped in the middle of the road, stuck his head out of the window, and shouted "Abolare." And it was it was that point that I knew that who is this? Who does things like this, right? And that just those very beautiful individuals that you meet every now and then. Mr. Alex was the same. You know, with the way he taught us different things, and with the way he instilled. I mean, there are a few teachers that would beat you, that would discipline you, but you can't just stop loving them. It's just impossible for you to not love them, right? Despite the fact that they discipline you, it's because you understand the discipline and everything that it's been providing, that it's actually very much worth it. And I deeply appreciate the discipline it's been able to instill in all of us. And I'm very grateful to Mrs. O. Mrs. O is always very thorough in our submissions and everything that she does. And she definitely did a wonderful job helping to review the book also. I'm grateful, of course, to my dad. Is here right now. I'm very grateful for the support he provided. You know, I would say that I had to up my game in planning and making this launch happen because of two principal people, my dad and Dr. Olajobi, because the kind of follow-up that they were giving and the kind of calls about how far have you messaged this person? How far? What's up with the printing of the book? How far? When are you going to this? How far? When did you get back from the meeting with this person? And you just knew that, oh, I can't let these people down. Even if at some point I was losing the motivation to follow up with this, you just have to know that, oh my God. And I'm very grateful to my dad and the support that he provided. I'm also very grateful to my mom and the support and the calls and the the unending prayers and everything. I really am grateful. I can see some other well-wishers here. Mr. Wahid, I can see Hassan Salaudin. I can see a lot of very, very good individuals that have done a lot to make this happen. I know I've overspent my time. Mr. Latif is probably going to switch off my mic now. Thank you very much, everyone. I really am grateful.
All right, thank you. Al-ameen, today is just like a wedding day, and you cannot really cut short the joy of a groom or a bride on a wedding day. So it's understandable, and I'm sure if we give you the whole day, we definitely go on and on and on about the fantastic people who have made today a reality. Of course, after God has given us the allowance. Again, I know. Yes, I know. I said before we take the national anthem, we'll quickly take Al-ameen. But as it is, I am very emotional right now, and I would like Daddy, Mr. Latif Abolare, coincidentally, interestingly, what other Lee is there? We bear the same name, Mr. Latif Abolare. Sir, if you do not mind, I would like to hear a few words from you before we call it a day. Okay, I'm thinking it might be having a challenge with connectivity. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure. Could you help check? I'm not sure he's not there. Okay, all right. Okay, I sincerely I would have loved to hear from Daddy, but nonetheless, we thank you for your support. Mr. Abolare Latif and Dr. Lajobi to Mr. Lajobi.
I really appreciate you people. I'm with you. I really, yes, I really appreciate you.
All right.
I really appreciate you.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. I guess that's him, right? I think he used another device to speak. All right. Thank you so much once again to all our speakers, to Mr. Peter Ngugi, to Mr. Itayo, who unavoidably was unable to join us, even though I heard he joined and perhaps was unable to continue. Thank you to Mrs. Olawoyin, to Mrs. Olambiwonu, to Dr. Lajobi, to Mr. Lajobi, to Mr. Lagoda, chairman of the day. Thank you so much to all the back-end guys who have been working to ensure that we stay online. We are streaming live. Every mic is working. Every video is on. Thank you so much. I'll have loved to mention names, but if I mention names, I might omit some names, and so that you don't have me in stomach and then you meet me outside and you give me that eye. So thank you so much, guys, everyone, for making this a reality, for making this a success. We can only hope that Plan Z ushers us all to the world. I would like to close this with the national anthem, just like we started. After the count of three, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Arise, O compatriot, Nigeria, follow thee, to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and might, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. Thank you so much, everyone. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.